Excellent!
Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to Paul's Hardware. This is my monthly builds video for November 2015. So, quick right up front explanation of how this actually works. Every month, or theoretically every month, I do a couple builds. I create these builds in theory. So what you're going to be looking at today is not actual systems I'm putting together. It is going to be parts lists. So if you're here to see a build, don't fret, I do build these sometimes, but what we're looking at today is builds based on your feedback. The one that I did just last month for October, we actually built. So this is the $500. That was a $700 system because it didn't have a graphics card. We basically built the system, or it had a graphics card. We basically built the system without the graphics card, which made it about $150 cheaper. And you guys can check that out. It's on my channel. It's live right now, and that build turned out quite nicely. I was very happy with that. So. Beyond that, I also get some feedback from you guys, and that's how I decide which systems I'm actually going to put together in theory. These systems are, the cost of the system that I'm listing in the title of this video is just the system. Doesn't include a monitor or peripherals or windows, so bear that in mind as well. Unless I say otherwise, of course, because I have done full builds as well. And lastly, I wanted to point out that you guys should vote, because the build I'm doing today, which is going to be a $1,200 bang for the buck gaming system. This is based on last month's straw poll. What kind of builds do you guys want to see for November? $1,200 bang for the buck system won. So I got that. I'm actually pretty excited about how that system came together with what's available right now and some of the deals that are going on for the Black Friday holiday time period of the year. And then one last thing is that I'm not planning on building any of these systems that I'm outlining for this month. I am already working on some December builds though, or getting parts together to do one of the systems in December. So everyone, please go ahead and vote. And for anyone who's in chat right now, I'm going to post this so you guys can vote as well on what you want to see for December. Now, for this straw poll, I did the votes based on CPUs, or the systems based on CPUs. So you guys are going to choose a system, or choose a CPU, and then I will build a system kind of based on that. I try to mix it up how the builds are formulated each month if I can. So we got a 5960X, 6700K, i3-6100, which is the new Skylake CPU that just launched. It's a dual core, but it does have hyper-threading. Interesting situation there, but super budget Skylake, or about as budget Skylake as you can get. Also have a couple Athlon CPUs in there. The X4 860K is an ever popular super budget AMD chip that you can build with, although performance-wise, it's you know, you kind of get what you pay for. So I was actually on the fence about building with that chip today, but I didn't. There's also the FX 6300, which is AMD's 6-core CPU, which is a bit more expensive than the 860K, but also very popular, kind of bang for the buck CPU. So guys, you can vote on more than one of those if you want. Just let me know what you're interested in seeing. And for today, we are going to jump into the $1,200 build first. Here's all my saved parts list so you can see my builds I've done for instance, May, July, August, September, October. Now we're all the way down here in November. So there's my $1,200 gaming bang for the buck system. And then we're also going to be taking a look after that at my $200 mom and pop system. I had listed this one as a $300 system, but actually when I parted it out last night, got it all the way down to $200, which is pretty awesome. Anyway, let's take a look at the November one first. This is $1,200 total. This includes CPU, cooler, motherboard, memory, storage, video card case, and power supply. Again, guys, peripherals and operating system, for instance, are up to you. But I squeezed a lot of power into $1,200. When I first had the $1,200 price point, I was like, you know, that's gonna be really based on mainly the game or the graphics card. So what's the best graphics card I can squeeze into a system for $1,200? So I went right for the top with the 980 Ti. You can actually get those for a little bit more of a discount now, $630 as opposed to $650. From there, I went to the CPU, and I felt that kind of like the best CPU to pair with the 980 Ti. Like you can't do a 980 Ti in an 860K or something like that. You got to give it some CPU performance to back up the GPU performance. So I went with a 6600K, and from there it was just a matter of how much money I had left over for all the rest of the parts. So those two parts together are what, $800, almost $900, right? So that basically leaves you with about $300 for the rest of the stuff that you might need in there, which is doable, but Let's see how it turned out and all came together. All right, so the CPU, of course, 6600K. Bear in mind, guys, if you're shopping for a 6600K right now, these are still hard to find sometimes. So whereas the Amazon listed price here was $255, it's actually not available. That's sold out. So the one they have listed on Amazon is $320. You can still get it at Newegg. They have stock, but they're selling it for $20 more at $270. If you happen to live close to a Micro Center, go into the store and buy one there. It's a great way to do it. Beyond that, we have to have a cooler for the 6600K since the Skylake CPUs do not ship with CPU coolers built into them. So the Hyper 212 Plus, bang for the buck, right? This is a bang for the buck system. In my opinion, Hyper 212 is the best bang for the buck CPU or CPU cooler. I even saved like $3 or $4 by going with the 212 Plus instead of the 212 Evo. Performance, honestly, is pretty much exactly the same. Wow, you can even get this for as little as $20 right now if you include a mail-in rebate in there. I usually don't include mail-in rebates when it comes to the pricing of the stuff that we're looking at. Here is the motherboard, and actually before I dive into that, let's take a look at the graphics card since those are kind of my two start-out parts that I went with. $630, so $20 off the $650 price point for a 980 Ti, and if you're spending $1,200, then I think it's worth getting a 980 Ti. If you're not into the 980 Ti, if you're on Team Red, get a Fury X, and it's the same price or right around the same price, and performance goes up or down depending on what you're testing and what drivers you're using and stuff. But the Fury X is still doing a really great job even up against the 980 Ti. I like both of those, and this is a Zotac one. It's aftermarket cooled, so it's going to run cooler and quieter, and it does come a little bit overclocked out of the box as well, and you'll probably be able to overclock this a little bit better than the stock or reference model. Okay, moving on. Once I had those two parts in the bag, it was just a matter of what is the cheapest Z170 board I can get. Well, the cheapest Z170 boards right now are going to cost you around $100. I found this one from AsRock. It's a Z170M Pro 4S. So it's LJ1151. We needed Z170 since we have a 6600K. The reason I went with that is if you're looking at bang for the buck in an overclockable processor, you need to overclock it. This is not the best overclocking motherboard, bear that in mind. You won't be able to get the most overclocking, but you should be able to at least push the 6600K to 4.2 to 4.4 gigahertz. And other than that, this board doesn't look too bad. It's got kind of a little bit of a copper accents on the heat sinks there and black overall, so not too shabby. It's even got an M.2 slot, which you might be able to see kind of right there in the middle, so you can drop in an M.2 if you need to. Other than that, it's got 4 DIMM slots, pretty standard, feature set. Apart from that, I wanted to show the I/O because that's kind of useful. There's I/O, you got your USB 3.0 and HDMI. The only thing it doesn't really have that I thought would be nice would be a USB Type-C connector. But hey, we're looking for bang for the buck, and Type-C is convenience but not necessarily to get you any more performance. For memory, I was thinking I was going to have to go with a 4 gig single stick for this build, and I was looking at those, and then I realized you can get a 2x4 gig DDR4 memory kit right now for about $50. So I went with this one, and of course last night it was in stock, and this morning it's out of stock. So this is a team memory kit. It's all black, so it'll match, and it's DDR4 3000. In fact, you can get DDR4 2133 or 2400 kits, 2x4 gig kits. So if this is one isn't in stock right here, just use that convenient PC part picker drill down thing and find yourself an 8 gig 2x4 gig kit of DDR4 memory. It's got to be DDR4, and you should be good to go. Even if it's 2133 or 2400, you're not going to be using the iGPU, so you're fine with that. Storage. This is the place where I probably this is where I felt the hurt from the budgets the most, was in storage. I was looking at what to put in here, and I ended up deciding on this 120 gig Team SSD. It's $40. $40. Now, what I would want to put in here is like a 240 or 256 gig SSD. That's kind of my standard right now, and those you can get for 70 or 80 bucks. This was just to stay within the price, but it's not even a bad SSD. All that said as well. And hello to everyone in chat. I told you, hi, thank you guys, everyone who's live right now. You guys are fantastic, and thanks for joining me. Okay, but this SSD, 120 gigs, look at the rating. It's got a 5-star feedback. I think it's a SandForce controller or something like that, but it's a Team. It's got 550 megabytes per second reads and writes, 520 megabytes per second writes, 550 reads, decent IOPS. Anyway, it's going to get you the speed that you need, but this is the one major caveat from this system, this $1,200 system that I've put together as is. 120 gig storage is all you have. So the assumption here is that you have a hard drive lying around somewhere, an old laptop hard drive perhaps, something that's in the 500 gig range or higher that you would also drop into this system. Otherwise, you're going to be limited to, like, you know, GTA 5 and maybe one other game that you can install on this SSD. So that's my biggest shortcoming on the system, but hey, it's still within budget. Moving right along, since it's MicroATX board, I went with a MicroATX case. This is a Cooler Master N200, which, as you can see here, again has a $20 mail-in rebate, which isn't included in the price here, but you can get it for pretty cheap, $40 to $50-ish. And this is a nice case. Part of the reason it's in this combo is because it was actually comboed with some of the other parts that are going on here. But you got some USB 3.0 front panel, everything you'd really need. Nice ventilation and all that good stuff. Let me pull up some better pictures. Painted interior, it looks pretty nice. It's got space for whatever, you know, for the stuff you'd want to fit in there. Lots of length for that lengthy 980 Ti graphics card, and just a nice budget case all around. It'll kind of it gets the job done. The only thing that I might want to do is, no, it's even got 2 fans. For some reason I thought it didn't have a fan in the front, but it does. Anyway, Cooler Master N200 matches with the Hyper 212. Finally, we needed a power supply, and again, going to the budget, I was like, all right, we need at least 600 watts for a 780 Ti, and I want 80 plus bronze because that's the minimum I'll go with when it comes to a power supply efficiency rating. And yeah, 80 plus bronze, 650 watts. Turns out, oh, and it can't be like super ghetto. Like, it can't be one of those no-name brands I've never heard of. So Silverstone is a reputable brand when it comes to power supplies. They have this one available on Amazon. 650 watt, 80 plus bronze. This has like a hardware, which, shoot. This one has a gold award from Hot Hardware, I believe. I think that's right. Anyway, this was very positively reviewed by one of the sites that actually does full power supply testing and everything. It's not going to look very pretty. It does not have good cabling. It's not modular, but it will get the job done. 650 watts, and you should be pretty good. 50 amps on each 12-volt rail, so that's enough for a 980 Ti. And that's all. $1,200 for a gaming system, which includes a 980 Ti and a 6600K, and a pretty decent feature set besides that. Again, just add a hard drive or something in there. I was pretty happy with this. $1,200. Anyway, if you guys are shopping for, you know, you're sending your Christmas lists out or whatever to your parents and whatnot, check that out. And yeah, I'm impressed with what you can get for your money for that. All right, let's move on to the next build. The next build is a mom and pop system. When I talk about a mom and pop system, I'm basically saying not for gaming. And not for doing any like heavy lifting. If you want to do this for like work or something like that, if you want to use this for like AutoCAD or I don't know, anything that requires a lot of CPU power, this is not the system for you. This is a budget system. It costs $200, and this is also uses a BGA ball grid array integrated CPU on a motherboard. That starts off right here. But the total price is just under $200, $198.95 total from right here. And this all starts out with this Intel quad-core Celeron processor, the J1900, which is integrated into the AsRock, this AsRock motherboard. There's only a couple motherboards you can get. There's an AsRock and a BioStar. I kind of view AsRock as a step above BioStar, which you should probably too. But you get your CPU built in there. And it's even got a little passive cooler on it, so it's not going to make much noise. Beyond that, you know, the motherboard has kind of the features that you would expect. It's got integrated video, so that's your GPU, your CPU, and your motherboard, all kind of in the same little thing here. So it's got HDMI outs, DVI. If you're going 1080, you got support for all that. It's even got some legacy PS2 ports on there, basic sound options. This will do your basic computering just as you might expect. I was looking at it and I was like, that's pretty cool. It's even got 2 DIMM slots, even though they're set at perpendicular angles to each other, which is different. You don't see that too often, but hey, they're trying to cut down on the board space. Beyond that, we need some memory, so I went with a single stick for $18 of Team Elite 4 gig memory. You want to go with faster memory if possible, but the board's only rated for 1333, so I just went for 1333. This is a single 4 gig stick. And then you even have a little bit of upgrade, so you could pop in another 4 gig stick if you wanted to. And hey, they're only $18. They'll get the job done. The hard drive, or rather hybrid hard drive slash SSD, is the one here that I was a little bit on the fence about. This is the Seagate 500 gig Momentus XT, which is a hybrid. It's got a 500 gig hard drive, and then it's also got some NAND flash in there that works as a caching drive for the spinning mechanical drive. It makes it perform the performance. You get that kind of instant responsiveness in a lot of situations like you would expect with an SSD without having to pay for an SSD, and you get 500 gig of space. And for mom and pop system, it's simple. It's viewed as just a single drive. You don't need to do any configuration or setup stuff, and it is noticeably faster than a standard hard drive. Now, looking at the prices here for this, at Amazon you can get it for $58. However, the other pricing on this is more expensive, closer to $100. Don't buy this for $100. If you're getting anything more than $50, $60 for this, remember that for $70 or $80 you can get a 240, 256 gig SSD, and I would definitely recommend that over this drive. This one I just went with because definitely a little bit cheaper. 500 gigs of storage, so should be plenty for a mom and pop system. And again, you get that kind of SSD-ish performance with it, so I think it was a good choice. You can shave off a good $40-ish off of the price of the system by going with like a bare bone, dirt cheap 160 gig mechanical spinning drive, which you can find on Amazon for like 20 bucks or less. So keep that in mind as a possibility if you're really trying to save money. Finally, we needed a power supply and a case. I found that in this Rosewill R379-M MicroATX slim case. Taking advantage of the fact that, you know, we're really not planning on popping in a graphics card or anything too expansive in this. This is ATX case. It's got the power supply integrated. It's a pretty basic look, black and white. Doesn't need to look too pretty, just needs to get the job done, which means it can fit your motherboard in there. It's got the hard drive integrated. Again, not going to look pretty, but it's going to get the job done. Now, one final thing I need to point out with this case and this build, just in the interest of full disclosure, is that you would need one of these. This is a 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch drive bay adapter. That Rosewill case does not have a 2.5 inch drive mount. These you can find in your old box of computer parts. If you're me, I actually have way too many of these. Or otherwise they're really, really easy to find. So make sure you grab one of those if you want to mount that drive in there the way you should. Anyway, that's all for this video, guys. I really appreciate you guys stopping by if you're watching live. I know I don't do these in a regular like cadence. I don't have like specific times that I set up, so anyone who's watching, you guys were just kind of there on point for when I went live or when I tweeted about it. If you guys want to see more videos like this, then of course subscribe to my YouTube channel, Paul's Hardware. Hit the like button, the thumbs up button down there if you enjoyed it. Again, I'm not building either of these systems that I went over today, but I do have some builds on the channel under my builds playlist if you want to check that out. And then I will be building a build. I will be building a build in December. So make sure you vote in the straw poll. The link is down in the description. And also in December, or coming up soon, I have that system right there. That's a NAS that I built with Logan just recently. So I'm working on that edit and getting that all together too. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.